Is everyone ready? Bessie, give me the go.
3, 2, 1, and we're live. Welcome to the Heal with Kat show.
Hey everyone, welcome to my very first episode of the Heal with Kat show. We are trying something totally different, and I'm so excited. If you're new here, my name is Kat Dow. I'm a family constellation therapist, intuitive, and fellow cycle breaker, and your guide for this new adventure that we are going on together. If you are a previous listener of the podcast, thank you so much for being here. We are in 2025. In numerology, it's the year of endings. It's the karmic cycles completing. It's the old chapters that don't serve us anymore that are closing with this year. If we can work with that energy, it's the key. And so here I am, an open vessel for like whatever change wants to happen through me this year. And that change is happening most of all in my business and in the podcast, although there's a lot of other personal things going on, like moving, getting married, wanting to start a family. But for you guys, for the listeners, the podcast is like my big baby right now. I am like nurturing her and caring for her. And if you've been with me on the Heal with Kat podcast, you know that I love diving into family patterns, belonging, and just the crazy, beautiful ways that our souls are evolving and healing in this life. And my big passion is combining both the psychology of what it means to be human and the ethereal, the spiritual, the intuitive parts of us that many of us, especially this year, are coming back online with. And so you can think of the show as a cozy space where therapy meets talk show meets a sprinkle of intuitive medium hotline energy. So you have the ability every single week to either submit a question or submit a question and apply to come on the show with me live one-on-one, where you'll call into my hotline and we'll work through an issue that you're having together. And that's really exciting to me because I feel like right now, especially with where our world is at, people are needing more of that like one-on-one help, and it's free, and all you have to do is submit a question. And you can submit as many questions as you want. You can come back every single week if you want to. We did get a lot of submissions, and I think people are really wanting something like this. So, of course, I go in, I look at all of the questions, and I pick which ones we're going to address every week. This week, we've got 3 incredible questions that were submit only. So we won't be doing any like live calls today, but the questions that I got are very on par with a lot of the things that we talk about in this community. So my hope is that by listening in, you'll not only get insight for your own healing if I'm addressing your question, but even from listening to someone else's question, because truthfully, although there is this psychoanalytical or like this trauma-informed part of me that does show up, I'm also channeling at the same time. I've opened the field and we're just going to see what comes through. So this isn't just for the person who asked the question. These words could also be for you. But I also want you to feel less alone in this sometimes like messy work of being a human. So since this is our very first episode, I want you to know that this space is not about having all the answers. This show is only one person's perspective. So every single show I will say to you, never give your power away to me or to anyone outside of you. You know, in life, especially on the healing journey, we're constantly inundated by so many people's opinions. And they're just opinions. And you get to decide with your own discernment, which is your superpower, if you align with the information or not. So I'm only a mirror for you on your journey. I can be a channel for things, but you've always had the power, and I'm here to empower you to remember that. So this show is about creating room for honesty, for tenderness, and for those kind of aha moments that land in your body and make you say, like, yes, that is exactly what I needed to hear today. So thank you for being here at the beginning. My plan is to drop a couple of these over the next few months. And then by the end of the year, we are going to be fully immersed and integrated into the Heal with Kat show, will be no longer doing interviews unless I have like a standout guest that I absolutely must have to share with all of you. But the show and this interactive experience is really where my soul and my heart is at. And it's a way that I know I can be of service more and more and more. So grab your tea, take a deep breath, and let's jump into our very first question. Okay, so our first question that we have this week is from an anonymous sender from Denver, Colorado. And their question is, I feel stuck in a karmic loop of pleasing and a fear of disappointing my family. I do not know how to break free and develop the skill to see myself outside of them. I feel I need to please them, and I recently decided to quit my continuing education, and I do not know how to let them down as they are old and put a huge importance on education. I feel the biggest lesson in my lifetime will be individuating from them, but I would like some guidance on how. Okay. Thank you so much, Anonymous, for sending in this question. So, what I'm hearing you ask is, I feel stuck in a karmic loop of people pleasing, fear of disappointing my family, and you feel like you need to individuate from them, but you don't know how, and you're looking for some clarity on that. So, first of all, I just want to honor the courage it takes to even like name this out loud. Because as a family constellation therapy facilitator and somebody who works day in and day out with family dynamics and family patterns, and most commonly, enmeshment, so many of us carry this exact tension between loyalty to our family and longing to have our own individuality and the threshold between that. And I definitely don't think personally that there is a right answer and a wrong answer. I am the queen of yes and. And so that's kind of where my gut is telling us we need to go in terms of helping you get some clarity and guidance around this. Because it's so human to want to like please our parents, please our family, especially when they're getting older. You mentioned that they're aging, and they may come from a generation when education has a huge value and it's been a core pillar for them. And now we're living in, or rather, you're living in 2025, where education is not so much of an importance. And there's a lot of systems around education that are changing, and how we are integrated in that system is changing. And so, yes, we want you to feel connected to your family. We want you to feel like you belong to your family. And there's a difference between belonging and fitting in. And when you can start to shift the story that you've created in your life or that has been created around you, that in order to fit into your family, you need to have a continued education and achieve some kind of education. If you can start to reframe that, I think you'll start to feel a bit more free. Because the beauty of belonging is that you belong to your family no matter what. Education, money, status, the car you drive, the person you date, the clothes you wear, the achievements that you create, that does not increase your belonging or your value in a family system. Your value in a family system is inherent from the day that you are conceived. The minute your soul goes into your human body and says, I belong in this family. I'm a part of this family. And then it's as we grow up in these family systems that we start to believe that our value might not be inherent, because we may have to change ourselves in order to quote unquote belong. But actually, we're just trying to change ourselves to fit in, to get connection, or to feel that we exist in harmony in a family system. And so, what I would call this from the lens of FCT or family constellation is that there's some kind of loyalty to the system that's keeping you entangled. And so, maybe unconsciously, your whole life, you've been trying to carry out these family values and these expectations to belong. But now we need to actually go back to the root a little bit. So, my question to you to take it from here is, what happened in your childhood that started this pattern? Like, when did you start thinking consciously, I need to be what others want of me for connection? Now, if you wanted to go subconsciously, and when your body started feeling the threat of disconnection, and when it subconsciously started to realize that you needed to change who you were. That's like EMDR, brain spotting, could be a plant medicine journey. Like accessing that is going to require a deeper, more focused strategy. But there are probably ages where you may have noticed or have memories or remember things of when you just wanted to make your parents happy. And you may have this kind of like confused or uncomfortable feeling around that memory. That might be a really curious indication of potentially that age is when your brain and your body started to separate and you compromised your authenticity for connection. And I know this is like a lot of really big stuff, but like this is the stuff that I would look at in a reading or in an FCT session to try to understand what the pattern is. But even deeper, if you look at things like Dr. Gabor Mate's compassionate inquiry, he would also be asking you similar questions because what we share in this healing space is what is the root cause? Did you start feeling that you needed to change yourself? And when you can connect to that inner child version of you in a meditation, in a quantum experience like FCT, then you start redefining your relationship to that age. Because what trauma does, and trauma of all kinds, is that it separates the body from the mind. And so what you're doing in those EMDRs, the inner child healing, the parts work, the somatic therapy, all of that, even traditional therapy can, if the therapist is good at getting you into your body, because psychoanalyzing everything just keeps you up here. But we're trying to bring the mind and the body back together. There's a couple things that I want to bring forward that were intuitively coming through as I was addressing your question and kind of thinking about it before we started recording today. And so I would really look at things like divorce, financial stress at home, arguing or fighting. What break in connection were you living and experiencing on a day-to-day basis? That will give you an idea of where you started to disconnect from your authenticity for that connection. So, because before your mind could start to consciously become aware of this pattern, your brain took over and said, we do this or everything is going to fall apart, which is just simply not true. But we can lovingly look at that because as children, we think that if everything is going well, then we must be good. And if everything is not going well around us, then we must be bad. And so we're very egoic as children. We're naturally a little narcissistic because our brains haven't developed enough to understand the connection, or rather the disconnection, the both of those, of what has to do with us or not. So if our parents are fighting over financial stress or time management, we think it's somehow we may have done something wrong. And that is the brain's part in this whole makeup of who you are. But then there's the body. And so that could be like a whole other podcast episode or like another show in and of itself. But you need to understand what's happening in your body when you're challenged to individuate. And that's what I think is happening here, is there's a challenge to individuate and make decisions outside of everyone's approval because something in your body is saying, fight, flight, fawn, freeze. We're not going to fit in. I'm not going to use the word belong because I'm going to stay true to my own value that you belong no matter what. But I'm not fitting in. I'm not getting the approval that I need for connection and love. So my body is going to start telling me I'm in danger. And so when you can understand that and you can really go into that experience, then what you'll do is you'll train your brain to create more space for clarity and confidence in your choices. You need more tools in your proverbial toolbox, because when you're challenged to speak up and say, I'm not going to continue my education, your body won't be throwing you into survival mode. And we can't always make aligned decisions in survival mode. I mean, I've met a lot of great people in this life who are constantly in survival mode and been very successful, but I don't recommend it. I really don't recommend it. We want your brain and your body to come back together so that when you have the space within you to say, Mom, Dad, I'm not going to continue my education anymore, and this is why, then you can have an adult, mature conversation with them rather than going into some triggered place, which is what sounds like it's happening. And if there has been a difficulty for you to individuate from your family, looking at those inner bodily parts of you are going to help you understand why you started doing that in the first place. Lack of individuation. You know, as kids, we listen to what our parents say, we put it on a pedestal, we put them on a pedestal, and we say, whatever they say is true. And then we become adults and we're like, oh, wait, nope, shit. Actually, I don't agree with like most of that. And like undoing that just takes time. It really just takes time. It takes a little bit of work and it takes some dedication. And you can bring yourself back home to your true and authentic version of you. You can, because that version of you, they know what they want. They know where they want to go in life without needing anyone's approval. And when you make those decisions, we want those to come from a place of inner connection, clarity, and confidence. There is a really big difference between love and agreement. I also want to offer you another perspective around individuation, because when you come from a family pattern or a family system that embraces enmeshment, one of the hardest skills can be in the process of individuation is realizing that you can deeply love your parents and still choose a different path. But I think first your body needs to feel safe to do that, because your nervous system might still be carrying that old message. If I disappoint them, I'll lose love. So there's a lot of different practices that I would guide you through if you were in an FCT with me. I might have you imagine standing yourself at the edge of a family system in the front and turning to look at your lineage behind you and bow in respect to like their choices and their values, but then turning back around, facing forward with them behind you and turning to face your own path and like really visualizing like what is in front of your path. What's out there in front of you if it's not your family blocking your path because you're afraid that they won't love you? They're behind you, which is you in your rightful role. And I'm getting into some of the logistics of FCT, but that's my perspective. So part of individuation is noticing the fear is real, but it belongs to a younger version of me, and the adult me can handle disagreement and disappointment differently. So when you make a choice for yourself, it may look like disappointment to them at first, but it's actually you stepping into your truth. And over time, I know we don't think this, but families will adjust. Oftentimes they do. And if they don't, you know that they cannot continue forward with you. And there is a whole nother piece of grief in that. But it's going to be important for you as you go into the body and you relive some of these inner feelings, this fear to individuate, to invite compassion for that younger self who still feels that she has to please in order to be safe. And you may have to tell her, you know what? Your parents, they may never fully understand. And the exciting part of that is that we don't have to people please, or they don't have to understand in order for us to live our life. So when there's guilt that comes up or when there's fear, instead of shutting it down and being like, oh my God, you know, going into that like loop of the mind, or maybe it's happening in your body where your gut starts to hurt or your heart or your chest, or you start feeling like you're shutting down, pause. And you can ask yourself in that moment, connecting with your body, maybe you place your hand over your heart and you just say, whose voice is this right now? Is it mine? Maybe. Is it my family's? Gosh, yeah, it feels like mom or dad or both. Oh man, and I'm noticing that pressure happening in my body right now. And then when you go to have that conversation with your family, whenever that is, you can say something like, Mom, Dad, I know education is important to you, and I respect that. I respect what's important to you. But right now, what I need for myself is ... And then pause. Let the linger silence if it needs to. And instead of like jumping to conclusions about how they may feel or nervously chatting to fill the space because you're anxious, give your parents the space to sit with their own emotions. You don't need to caretake for theirs. Just give yourself some space. Because at the end of the day, Anonymous, what you're actually asking yourself in those moments where you're feeling challenged to honor your own needs and desires is this: am I still safe? Am I still loved, even if I do what I want? You're not selfish at all. So do you trust yourself to make your own decisions? And the beautiful thing about trust is it's time and consistency. But knowing that And knowing yourself helps that trust blossom like miracle grow. You just got to give yourself some time and consistency. Okay. Thank you so much, Anonymous, for sending in that question. I know there's going to be so many people in the community who are going to resonate with that really deeply. And I just want you to remember, individuation is not about rejecting them. It's about including them in your heart while walking your own path. All right. Okay, guys, let's get into question 2. We've got a question from Chloe in Orange County. She says, I keep dating men who emotionally shut down or pull away when things start to get real. Intellectually, I know this is tied to my abandonment wound and maybe even what I saw in my parents' relationship, but it's so hard to break the pattern in the moment. How do I stop attracting the same kind of relationship dynamic over and over again? And how do I know if it's me needing to heal or if I'm just choosing the wrong partners? Hey everyone, Kat popping in during the episode today to share that I have something so exciting to announce. I just launched a brand new series of meditations on Insight Timer, the world's #1 meditation app with over 31 million users. I'll be releasing 10 new meditations every month now through August. And the best part? They're totally free, including downloading the app. The guided meditations on Insight Timer aren't just about ancestral healing. They're designed to help you understand how inherited patterns, pain, fears, or choices show up in your everyday life, your relationships, your self-worth, parenting experiences, or even your health. Each one gently helps you untangle those threads so you can move forward feeling more grounded, clear, and connected. Just download the Insight Timer app, search my name, Kat Dow, or click the link in the show notes below. Make sure you're subscribed to my email newsletter to get updates every month on the new meditations coming to your phone soon. All right, let's get back to the episode. Girl, welcome to a community of people who are feeling the same way as you. I can't obviously share what my clients are going through, but this is a really big one, especially in 2025. I feel like most of my female clients, I've been helping them with romantic relationships. I don't know what it is about this year, but maybe with all the endings and the beginnings and things that are happening, like we're ready for love, but we're ready for like real love in the community. And I also walked this very similar path when I got divorced in 2020. Oh my gosh, when did I get divorced? 2018. And I feel like I really got my feet wet in this arena. So we're just gonna dive right in. So what I'm hearing you ask is, I keep dating men who emotionally shut down. How do I stop attracting this? Do you need to heal something, or are you just picking the wrong partners? So I want to like normalize the struggle for a second. This is really common. And we will often unconsciously repeat what feels familiar for us, even if it's connected to something painful from the past. And just like we addressed in question 1 with Anonymous, many truths can exist at once. And so, what I'm really feeling into in this question is, it's less about the people that you're picking. I'm actually more curious about if you've ever explored having an abandonment wound of any kind, or if you've ever thought about or wrestled with emotional neglect. Because I feel like that wound, that abandonment wound, is showing up in 2 different ways. And it's showing up in the brain and how your brain is processing information, but it's also showing up in the body and how you connect with others and relate to others and how people feel to you. So, like when you're going on a date with someone and your brain is like, oh, this type of behavior is really familiar. I kind of know how to navigate this because it's a really familiar pattern from my past. And your body could be feeling something totally different or maybe similar. But like, do we have the trust in our body to understand the person in front of us? And so, patterns of abandonment will often live in the body and in the nervous system, but will rely on the logic, because what trauma does is it separates our brain from our bodies. So we stop trusting how we feel and we start trying to like psychoanalyze everything. And so and this is coming up too. I actually want to like go into this deeper. And I wish you were on a live call because I would love to hear your response to this. Why do you feel you need to prove your worth, most importantly? And that's really common with abandonment wounds. So I don't even really care about who you're dating and like who this person is. I more so care about what's happening inside of you when you're meeting these people that are deemed red flags or familiar from your past. And it is really common with abandonment wounds to want to try to prove our worth because if somebody abandoned us emotionally or physically or both, then we may spend our whole lives worrying if we're not enough because as children, we subconsciously take in this feeling or this belief, I'm not good enough if they didn't stick around because we're naturally a little egoic as children and we want to make everything about us, right? We don't have the brain development yet to understand these differences and nuances of adult human behavior. And so your brain may have taken on this belief I'm not enough. I need to prove that I can love someone and they can change, or that I'm lovable enough that they'll finally see me. So let's start there. And before you start blaming yourself of whatever you might be blaming yourself for, it's not about that at all. I want to lovingly reflect to you that this situation is actually more about widening our awareness and being more open to seeing things from a different perspective. So we don't only pick what's familiar. And if we were to then look at it from the other perspective, right? So one, that's what I would look at for you, but let's flip it on its head. Have you ever written down a list of these red flags or these things in men that deem them emotionally unavailable? And I'm guessing it's men, and I apologize, but these people rather that you're attracting that are emotionally unavailable. What is it that makes them emotionally unavailable? And is it that when you go on a date with them, and I can literally see this in my intuition, so I'm curious if you've been in this exact situation. If you're on the date with them and you're sitting at a restaurant and you're like, oh my God, this is what happened in my day, and I really want to tell you about it. And oh my God, my friend said this, and it was so funny. Like you're looking for that connection. And if they're just either scrolling on their phone or they're not locked in with their eyes or their energy, you can't feel them with you. And if you do resonate with the need to prove yourself and the abandonment wound, then you might try harder to prove I'm lovable. I'm lovable. Just see me. Please see me. I promise I'm going to do more so that you can see me. Or do you go the opposite way and do you just shut down and then you become emotionally unavailable? This is why I love the aspect of the show of being able to call in. I feel like I want to know exactly what you're feeling right now. And the beauty of intuition is being able to tune into the energy of things, but I'm still not speaking to you for your truth, right? And it's really interesting. I'll share this with you as kind of just, it's coming up, so I'm going to say it. For many years, I knew that I knew in my brain, I could logically understand that I had an abandonment or emotional neglect wound. I could take you back to all of the experiences. Well, my parents this, and then my childhood that, and then this happened, and the blah, 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 blah. But nothing ever truly freaking transformed my choices, my decisions, and my personal beliefs about myself until I went into my body and I actually re-experienced these things through EMDR and a mushroom psilocybin journey. I did them at the same time for like 4 hours. It was wild, but nothing truly transformed my understanding about myself and my connection with myself until I did that. And although I wasn't going in because of romantic relationships, I was going in for other things. I started to see my life change and shift ever so slightly because of the awareness I had of going back into those experiences. I'm literally always going to preach this on top of the mountains. And so I may constantly repeat myself in like every single show that we do when I'm giving this feedback and answering these questions. Go into your body, relive these experiences that you're so curious about that keep showing up, these patterns as a result of this unhealed trauma. Go into them, somatic experiencing, EMDR, brain spotting, parts work. You know, it's really interesting too because people will come to me for family constellation therapy and they'll want to work on the same thing over and over again. And if I see it show up more than like 2 or 3 times and we're still not getting anywhere, I literally will tell my clients, please do not book another session with me until you go into the body and re-experience this. We've done all we can on a quantum and on an ancestral level. We could keep threading the loop over and over and over. We could keep going for days. When you get into the spirit world or the ancestral or quantum world, it's like mirrors. It's just everything is like mirroring each other. You could go for years on one topic. But how is that actually helping you and your body in this moment with this pattern? Like, we're not going to spiritually bypass this real experience that you went through. And so, coming back to the question, if you keep choosing men to date who are emotionally shut down, who is it mirroring? Which parent is it mirroring? Did you feel abandoned by them? And are you trying to prove your worth by continuing to date them to get the love you wish you got from that parent or that caregiver? And when you go into that awareness alone will be powerful enough to stop attracting that parent you're subconsciously trying to repair with. And at the end of the day, it's not about fixing yourself to deserve love. It's not. It's never been about that. Fixing implies that there's an arrival point that we need to get to be fully healed. And that is not the healing journey. In my eyes, the healing journey is baby steps through lived experiences, through awareness, through modalities, through relationships and connections. I mean, the spiritual experience is the human experience. And we're now seeing that fixing and arriving to this place, it's not tangible for most people. And it's actually a false narrative. It gives you this false impression that you'll be good enough when you arrive to that place. And that is just simply not true. What we're doing is we're just slowly untangling the past so that with that awareness and with that healing that you're receiving, you can show up more in the present with clarity. Because Chloe, what I want for you is to go on a date with a guy. And even if your brain is saying, well, on paper, da 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 da, your body will say, hey, brain, I know we're still learning how to like catch up, but like something is not feeling right. This is feeling really familiar. When I'm with this person, this is how I'm feeling. And then for you to trust that, let your body be the discernment rather than your brain, because the brain can be a little wonky sometimes. When you learn to trust your body, I will almost guarantee you will stop picking these emotionally unavailable people because it won't feel good to be around them, and you'll value yourself more because you know that it mirrors an old pattern and you've completely outgrown it. So that's my advice for dating the emotionally unavailable men. It does say men. Chloe, I would also recommend, if you have follow-up questions to this, do not hesitate to submit another question and call in. I would love to work with this one-on-one on a live call, and we can take 20 minutes on the show to work through it together. Make sure that you're subscribed to my email newsletter because I will be announcing our next recording for the show in a couple of weeks. So I'd love to see you back on here so we can keep working through this. All right, for our last call this week on the Heal with Kat show, we have a question from Molly in Birmingham, Alabama. She says, I'm a mom, a wife, and I work full time. I spend so much of my energy taking care of everyone else, but then I end up resentful, exhausted, and disconnected from my own needs. Part of me feels guilty for even wanting more space for myself, like it would make me selfish. How do I start untangling this caregiver role without abandoning the people I love? And yes, I took your quiz. Molly, love that you took the quiz. The Cycle Breaker quiz is an amazing tool that y'all can take for free. We'll link it in the show notes below. It helps you understand your role in your family system, the strengths, the challenges, and how to transform it. Because I know that most people that take the quiz usually identify as black sheep, and y'all are caregivers. So I'm very, very excited to help you answer this question because I am a fellow caregiver. So I feel like I can really help you navigate some of this. So the question that I'm hearing is, I spend so much energy caring for everyone else. How do I untangle this without abandoning the people that I love? The motto of every caregiver: tattoo this on our forehead, because somewhere in our childhood, we got the message that when we care for other people and we perform that way, that we're good girls or we're good boys, and that's where we get our love and connection from. And there is so much more to you, Molly, outside of being a caregiver that I would love to know, because that's just one part of you. I think that the challenge with caregivers is that we get so much from being of service to others. Like I have a love-hate relationship with being a caregiver because I love doing things for people. It makes me feel good, and I know that it makes other people feel good. Like, I'm not being a caregiver for me in a sense, but also there is a little part of me of the caregiver role who is like, yeah, but also like it makes me feel good to be needed because that is how I was celebrated and cherished as a child was when I did things for other people, when I made other people happy. So I want to validate what I believe I'm hearing is guilt. And I'd be curious to know if you feel the same way. You can always comment below or resubmit a question and come on live with me next week. But I'm hearing a little bit of guilt. And I'm going to speak on behalf of a woman. I know that you're a woman as well. And as women, so many of us feel selfish for even thinking about our needs. It's societal, it's generational, it's traditional roles in the family system that date back for thousands of years. Men have this role, women have this role. And in today's world, there's so much going on. Like men and women are playing like 80 different roles when like our bodies were created to have maybe like 5. So when we stop being able to meet everybody's needs, including our own, then there's this pattern of guilt. And from the ancestral perspective, what I would be curious about is, are you replaying a caregiver role that's been inherited generation after generation after generation? And why? Also, intuitively, what's coming up, look at immigration trauma in your family. If you had a woman in your family who was forced into a role where they immigrated to a new country and the husband went before them and the mom was stuck with 8 kids somewhere, and and then it was like, then here's the crazy part about ancestral healing is that this mother is now only solely responsible for these 8 children, and then the oldest daughter potentially becomes parentified, and then she has to take care of everyone, and she puts herself aside, and then we see how the pattern continues. So it's not always the same thing, THING, that gets passed down. Oftentimes it's the same theme, THEME. So if we look at it from that ancestral perspective, overgiving can come from stepping out of our rightful place in the family system, right? So like people start inheriting roles that are not theirs. Children don't get to be children, adults aren't being adults, and the roles are reversed. But I want to explore that guilt more. I want to kind of see if you would be open to maybe thanking that guilt in a way, because there's something about the guilt that might be protecting you from something. It's partly intuitive, but it feels like we're just scratching the surface of something here. When we guilt ourselves for having guilt, we just perpetuate the cycle of guilt. I feel so guilty that I'm so guilty. It's like that saying, like, I'm tired of being so tired, It's like just builds on each other. But what if we brought a new perspective into the guilt? So like there's many parts to the guilt, right? So one part is maybe it's ancestral, but maybe the guilt is also serving as a protective mechanism for you. And I'd be curious to hear what that is. Or maybe it's a coping mechanism or a survival mechanism. And what I would really want to know is, what is the story from your childhood where you inherited the guilt, and instead of stopping at you, it's just continuing? And the beautiful part about breaking cycles is that even if we perpetuate a cycle we inherited for 35, 45 years, we still have the choice every day to say, and here's where it stops. Like, first of all, we don't have the capacity to break cycles as children. Like, we just don't. It's usually in our adulthood where we're challenged to look at the cycles we inherited and be like, oh, I want to do this differently. And then that's where the journey begins. And if somebody made you feel guilty for having needs, then we need to look at that. Not only from the childhood perspective, but I would want to know if your partner is maybe perpetuating a pattern of guilt. Like if your partner is like, well, I work so much and I need this or that. And it's like, whoa, like, okay, first of all, step one, we cannot pour from a well that never refills. Like, there's nothing left for anyone, but you are the most important person that needs to come first. And totally, if you're cringing right now, like I'm cringing with you because I feel like I'm repeating this like thing that everybody says, but it's so true. Because as a fellow caregiver, like I ran myself into 3 different autoimmune diseases, giving and giving and giving and giving. And then I felt like a victim because I was like, I give and nobody gives to me. And it's like, well, give to yourself. And so I think that's like, just, we're talking surface level here, because I mean, all of these questions are phenomenal. But like we can only go so deep when it's just me talking to myself, right? Like I would want to be talking to you about this so we can really get into it. But like you need to schedule time in your day for you. And if that means waking up 10 minutes earlier and meditating for 10 minutes, if that is enough to refill your cup, that is 10 minutes, beautiful 10 minutes of guilt-free boundaries and rebalancing your energy emotionally, spiritually, and even physically. For me, I love waking up in the morning. I put my red light on and I get on my vibrating plate literally at like 6 a.m. because Tyler wakes up really early to go to the gym. And I just like use those 10 minutes to breathe. I'll listen to some like chakra music or like whatever, even if it's placebo. I don't care. It's 10 minutes for me to breathe and feel connected to my body before I get into my day. We all have 24 hours in a day, and we'll spend 5 to 8 of those sleeping, although sleep is like the foundation of healthy well-being. But then we'll spend like 8 or 9 of those working. So that really leaves us not a lot of time for ourselves, but 10 minutes is something so small that you can give to yourself. And just those 10 minutes alone will create such a shift. And I recommend doing meditation because it really does shift your energy and it shifts your nervous system that your kids will start to notice. Maybe you're a little bit more relaxed, easier to connect with. Maybe your partner will start recognizing the same. But most importantly, you will have more confidence in your day to show up and start with 10 minutes. So if you normally wake up at 7 a.m., set an alarm for 6:45. Give yourself 5 minutes to press snooze again or go to the bathroom or get out of bed and then pop in those AirPods or whatever. My favorite meditations to do in the morning or even at night is this woman named Lisa Beachy on YouTube. It's Lisabeachy. She has this 10-minute energy cleansing meditation. I literally do it every day. I'll do it when I'm on like the Normatec machine at the gym, or I'll do it before bed. And again, even if it's a freaking placebo, just the practice of it alone is going to rebalance you completely. Now, imagine you did that every single day and you built that feeling of, I have guilt-free boundaries when I take care of myself. I put myself first, and you begin to rebalance your energy. It's in the direct practice and lived experience of that routine where you will start to build more confidence that choosing yourself isn't about abandoning others. It's about modeling wholeness. You can sit here all day and tell yourself you're going to do something, and you can tell yourself these are the benefits, but until you start actually living it, you're not going to believe yourself. And that's why taking action is so important. So important. I mean, it's kind of the same thing of like when people come to me for intuitive readings and I'm like giving them intuitive guidance and I'm like, okay, here's what I'm feeling, this, blah, blah, blah. Like just because I tell you, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden it's going to happen. You actually have to get up and do the things that are being suggested. It's not from me, I'm the channel, but like it's coming from somewhere, obviously your guides or the universe or whatever you want to believe that it is. But like the universe responds to grounded action, and your body, which is this beautiful collection of the universe in this physical form, will also do the same. That's the spiritual take on it. So I'm going to address that childhood part again too. Go back into your childhood with, you can come do it with me with FCT. You can do it in a reading with someone. You can do it in therapy. You can do it in EMDR. You can do it with a friend. You can do it in your journal. All we are looking for is awareness. So you can have someone guide you through that awareness, or you can try to do it yourself. That's really all that we're doing here in this practice is what is the awareness you have around when you started to inherit the caretaker role and the guilt with it, and just understand. Let's just say it happened at 10 years old. I want you to talk to that 10-year-old and understand, like, what does she have to say? Have we ever given her space to say, fuck all of this? I hate this. I literally don't like where I live and I don't like like, have we ever given her a voice? So give her the voice without guilt to be like, fuck this, and not at anybody. So we're not like harming other people in this process and we're not harming ourselves. But you can be in a contained space, either alone or with a trusted guide or healer or therapist, where you can make space for that voice to be like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to do this. And then what's the interesting thing about when we're healing like guilt or like healing really anything, when we start giving our body and our inner child and our nervous system a voice, is sometimes we might want to like swing on the spectrum of like caregiver to like rebel. And like you may feel that at times. And it may like happen in a day and it may happen over a year. But like we want to find this kind of like median place where the inner child in you gets opportunities to be the rebel and like go out and have fun and like have a voice in a way that's not harmful to yourself or others, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And we also want to make room for that inner child who maybe learned to love the caretaking, doting on people and buying someone a little gift that makes you think of them, but do it from a place of, I want to do this, not I feel like I have to do this in order to make people happy and love me. That's the difference. So, Molly, call back, submit another question, come back to the show, and we can keep chatting about this. And if you're somebody who has resonated with any of the questions that we went over today, any of the submissions, if you're like, I feel that and I have a question, there's one place you can submit. It's catdow.com/ask, A-S-K. We're going to link it in the show notes below. Make sure you're subscribed to my email newsletter. You can do that on my website as well. And we'll be sending out emails when we plan on recording again. I love the submitted questions, but I also want to get deeper. So don't hesitate to call in. We'll take care of the logistics. All you got to do is just submit a question. So as we wrap up our very first Heal with Kat show, I want to thank you guys for submitting your questions this week and being a part of the community. It means so much. But more importantly, I just know that through your courage of submitting questions, you're setting the tone for other people who may have similar questions where they're needing guidance in their life. So thank you so much for being here. And guys, that is a wrap on the very first Heal with Kat show. I am so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so pumped up for this. I think the show is going to be so interesting and so needed right now. So like I said, if you have a question that you're just itching to get some psychological, spiritual, intuitive, all over advice, if you resonate with the way that I have a perspective on things, catdow.com/ask, A-S-K. And keep an eye on your inbox. I'll be letting you guys know when we record the next episode soon. Fingers crossed by the end of the year, we will be fully immersed in this new way of doing the show. So thanks for being here. And don't forget to rate, subscribe, and review as always. And we'll see you for next week's interview. Thanks, guys.